مساء الخير. We'll start talking about neoplasia. Neoplasia include tumors, and it is an important disease process in humans. Cancer is the second leading cause of death in the United States. And it is characterized by a specific feature or unique features that differentiate it from other growth of cells in the body. The first characteristic feature of cancer, it is the genetic setup of the DNA of cancerous cells, which is caused by changes that affect the DNA. Most pathogenic mutations are either induced by exposure to mutagens or occur spontaneously as part of aging in human. So after exposure of cells and their DNA to some mutagens that are present in the environment, cells, they change and they acquire some DNA abnormalities that transform them into cells that are considered as abnormal or transformed cells. This partly can occur also by aging, and DNA mutations and abnormality can be acquired with increasing age. Cancer frequently show epigenetic changes such as focal increase in DNA methylation or alteration in histone modification, which may themselves stem from acquired mutation in genes that regulate such modification, as we are going to discuss in our talk about neoplastic diseases. These genetic and epigenetic changes alter the expression of function of key genes that regulate fundamental cellular processes, mainly genes that control the growth, the survival, and the death of cells. The other characteristic feature of cancer is the genetic alteration in the cells that can be heritable. Cells bearing mutations that provide a growth or survival advantage outcompete their neighbors and thus come to dominate the population, and this is called the progression of tumor cells. Tumor cells, all cells that are transformed, they acquire some gene mutation. However, with the progression of the tumor, more gene mutations will be acquired, enabling the tumor cells to continue with growth and proliferation, or to increase their survival, or to induce some changes in the surrounding in order to support their survival. Emergence of genetically distinct subclone with more aggressive characteristic is an important concept referred to as tumor progression, which is a feature seen in cancer cells. The other thing also that can occur in the, or it is a feature of cancer cells, is mutation and epigenetic alteration, which impart to cancer cell a set of properties that are referred collectively as cancer hallmarks. As we are going to see, cancer cells are different from that of the normal cell, and they acquire some features that are not normally present in normal cells. and these changes mainly modified by acquiring mutation in certain groups of genes, as we are going to see. These properties produce cellular phenotypes that dictate the natural history of cancer as well as their response to various therapy. And actually, studying and identifying these mutations are very important in evaluating the patient with cancer and in predicting the effect of therapy in these patients. First thing to know about neoplasia or neoplastic diseases is the nomenclature or the designation of different types of tumor. First, neoplasia literally means a new growth, which means that tumor cells are not present in the body unless some cells acquire some gene mutations that produce cell transformation. Neoplastic cells are said to be transformed because they continue to replicate, apparently oblivious to the regulatory influences that control normal cells. And neoplasm, they enjoy always a degree of autonomy, and they do not tend to depend on receiving some signals for their growth or for their survival. And these tend to increase in their effect and to produce increase in the size of the tumor without responding to the negative and control present on normal cells. All neoplasm, for their growth, they depend on the host for their nutrition and blood supplies. And neoplasm derived from hormone-responsive tissue often also require endocrine support. So tumor cells, they imitate or they can simulate that of the cell of origin, and they might also function as the original normal cells that gave rise to the tumor cells. In common medical usage, neoplasm is often referred to as a tumor, which is composed of a lump of cells. The study of tumors is called oncology, from onkos or tumor, and logos, study of a tumor. Neoplasm are divided into benign and malignant tumor, and this is depends on a tumor potential clinical behavior, and the differentiation between benign and malignant tumor is very mandatory, and it is very important for the patient and the clinician in order to determine what is the outcome of the presence of neoplastic process. That's why we have to designate different types of tumors into benign and malignant, and to designate each type of tumor because basically every type of cell in the body can produce a tumor, and this tumor, depending on its biological behavior, can be divided into benign or malignant. And that's why the tumors, in order to be described as benign, their microscopic and gross characteristic are relatively innocent, implying that they will remain localized to the site of the origin, and benign tumors are amenable or accessible to be removed surgically. So this is very important aspect in differentiation. Benign tumor can be removed because they are localized to the site of origin. While malignant tumors, they are difficult to be excised surgically because they tend to invade and to destroy the adjacent structures and tissue, and they can spread to distant site, and this is called metastasis, and usually this is the cause of death. Malignant tumors, collectively, they are referred to as cancers, and this is derived from the Latin word for crab, and this is a descriptive term describing malignant tumor that they tend to invade the surrounding tissue, and as if they are adherent to the site of the origin, and that's why surgically they are difficult to be removed. All tumors, benign and malignant, have two basic components: the parenchyma, which is made up of transformed or neoplastic cells. These are the cells that are abnormal, and the supportive stroma, which is host-derived. The stroma is made up of connective tissue, blood vessels, and inflammatory cells that infiltrate the site of the tumor. In order to designate the tumor, we depend on the type of cells that are neoplastic, which constitute the parenchyma of the tumor. Benign tumor are designated by attaching the suffix "oma" to the cell type from which the tumor arises. And for example, a benign tumor arising from fibrous tissue is called fibroma. A benign tumor arising from cartilaginous tissue is called chondroma. Adenoma is also a benign tumor, and it describes the benign tumors that originate from epithelial cells and produce gland-like structures, but also benign epithelial neoplasm that derived from the glands. Also, they are called adenoma, even though they lack glandular growth. So, adenomas are tumors that produce gland-like structure, or they are derived from a gland without formation of glandular architecture. For example, colonic adenoma, it is a benign tumor that arises from the colonic mucosa. Usually colonic adenoma, they form glandular structure, and also thyroid adenoma, it is a benign tumor arising from thyroid tissue. However, thyroid adenomas, they do not produce glands. They are composed of collection of cells that function as thyroid follicular cells. Also, papillomas are benign epithelial neoplasm growing on any surface that produce microscopic or macroscopic finger-like projection. Similarly, also polyp is another term which is used to describe masses that project over mucosal surface, as in the bowel mucosa. However, this is a descriptive term, and that's why polyp can be a benign lesion, or it can be a malignant lesion, and also it can be totally non-neoplastic lesion as inflammatory polyp. So it is a gross description of a mass projecting over the surface. However, to differentiate or to recognize its type, whether benign or malignant, we have to examine a tissue under the microscope in order to differentiate and to predict the type of the mass or the polyp. This is an example of a polyp. This is the normal mucosa, and you can see that in this area there is a projection over the surface formed of a mass, which is formed of glandular structures, similar to that of the normal mucosa. So this is a colonic polyp. Actually, a term polyp is used in clinical practice to describe lesions in the mucosal sites, okay? If these polyps, they produce some cysts as part of architecture, the polyp is called cyst adenoma, to recognize that the mass that formed of glandular structure, some of these glands form cysts because they get dilated. And these cyst adenomas are characteristically arise in ovaries. On the other hand, malignant tumors divided into two types, sarcomas and carcinomas. Malignant neoplasm arising in solid mesenchymal tissue or its derivatives are called sarcomas. Malignant neoplasm arising from the mesenchymal cells of the blood are called leukemias or lymphomas. Leukemias present in the blood, while lymphomas present in the lymph nodes. Sarcomas are designated based on their cell type or cell of origin, and they reflect the origin of the cells. Example, liposarcoma. Liposarcoma, it is a malignant tumor arising from adipose tissue. Chondrosarcoma, it is a malignant tumor arising from cartilaginous tissue. Fibrosarcoma, it is a malignant tumor arising from fibrous tissue, and so on. Malignant neoplasm of epithelial cells are called carcinomas, regardless of the tissue of origin. For example, carcinoma that grow in glandular structures or pattern are called adenocarcinomas. Carcinomas that produce squamous cells are called squamous cell carcinoma. Carcinomas that arise from renal tubules, they are called renal cell adenocarcinoma. So adenocarcinoma, it is a malignant tumor arising from epithelium that form glandular structure. However, there are many sites in the body that can produce such a tumor, and that's why we need to be more specific, and we might add the cell of origin or site of tissue as in renal cell adenocarcinoma or colonic adenocarcinoma or lung adenocarcinoma, and so on. Also, on the other hand, there is mixed tumors. Mixed tumors are still of monoclonal origin, which is very important to recognize that tumors arise from one cell type. Okay. However, these progenitor cells in this tumor, they retain or they have the capacity to differentiate into more than one cell lineage, and that's why producing more than cell type or more than one tissue in the same tumor. And for example, there are well-known mixed tumors as mixed tumor of salivary gland, which is called pleomorphic adenoma. And these tumors, they have epithelial component, which is mixed with a fibromyxoid tissue and island of cartilage or bone, and that's why they are designated as mixed tumors. This figure shows the pleomorphic adenoma and how it's formed of different tissue. This is, for example, a bony tissue. This is a cartilaginous tissue, and also it can contain epithelial component as this island. These are islands of epithelial cells. So it is a mixed tumor or pleomorphic adenoma. The other example which is important is the fibroadenoma of female breast. Fibroadenoma of female breast, it is a benign mixed tumor of the breast. It consists of a mixture of proliferating ductal epithelial cells with fibrous component. The fibrous component is the neoplastic process, and actually we make the diagnosis depending on the appearance of the fibrous tissue in this mixed tumor. Also, teratomas are a specific type of tumors. Teratoma is a special type of mixed tumor that contains recognizable mature or immature cells or tissue derived from more than one germ cell layer, and sometimes all three cells or three layers. Teratomas originate from total potential germ cells, and they differentiate into different type of tissue, giving different types of tissue within a tumor. This tumor, it can contain all types of tissues present in the body. Usually teratomas, classically, they appear in ovaries, testes, and in the midline arising from embryonic cysts, and that's why we can see it in the mediastinum or in other sites in the midline. One parenchymal cell type tumors, they are derived that are derived from connective tissue and its derivatives. The benign tumors are called fibromas, and the malignant tumor are called sarcomas. So fibroma or fibrosarcoma, lipoma or liposarcoma, chondroma or chondrosarcoma, osteoma or osteogenic sarcoma, or osteosarcoma. Other tumors that arise from endothelium and related cell types, usually they arise in the vessels. Blood vessels give rise to hemangiomas or angiosarcoma or hemangiosarcoma, it's the same. From lymph vessels, they are called lymphangiomas or lymphangiosarcoma, when the malignant counterpart. The tumors arising from mesothelium are malignant, usually called mesothelioma. Also from tumor arising from brain membranes or coverings are either meningiomas. When meningiomas are malignant, they are called invasive meningiomas. So meningioma by itself, it is a tumor which is can behave in malignant fashion. Actually, there are grades of meningiomas. Blood cells also can produce tumors. Blood cells, tumors always malignant, no benign tumors. Tumors that arise from hematopoietic cells, they are called leukemias. Leukemia represents as abnormal cells found in the blood. In lymphoid tissue, the malignant tumors are called lymphomas. There are different types of lymphoma depending on the cell type and the maturation of the tumor cells. Muscle can produce benign and malignant tumor. Leiomyomas are benign tumor, leiomyosarcoma are the malignant. Striated muscles also can produce benign tumors, rhabdomyomas or rhabdomyosarcoma, the malignant counterpart. In the skin, stratified squamous epithelium can produce benign tumors called squamous cell papilloma or squamous cell carcinoma or epidermoid carcinoma. Basal cells of the skin or adnexia can give rise to a tumor, basal cell carcinoma. Tumors of melanocytes that are present in the epidermis of the skin. The benign tumor are called nevus or nevi, and the malignant tumor are called malignant melanomas. epithelial lining or glands of glands or ducts also can produce tumors. Benign tumor are called adenomas. Malignant tumor are called adenocarcinoma. Depending on the gross appearance of the tumors, they can also called papillomas or papillary carcinomas because they usually produce large masses of projecting over the surfaces, or if they contain some dilated glands, they are called cyst adenomas, which is the benign type of tumor, or cyst adenocarcinoma, which is the malignant counterpart. And this goes for the rest of the organ. Lung, in the lung there's bronchoadenoma or bronchogenic carcinoma, kidney, renal tubular adenoma or renal cell carcinoma. In the liver, there is liver cell adenoma or hepatocellular carcinoma. In the bladder, benign tumor are called urothelial papillomas, or the malignant tumor are called urothelial carcinomas. In the placenta, they are called hydatiform mole, the benign tumor, and the malignant tumor is called choriocarcinoma. In the testicle, it can be seminoma, or embryonic carcinoma, or other types of germ cell tumors. Mixed tumor also can be malignant. Pleomorphic adenoma are the benign, while malignant tumor are called malignant mixed tumor. In the kidney, Wilms tumor, it is a malignant tumor arise in the kidney, and it is type of mixed tumor containing different types of tissue. In gonads, particularly, or in embryonic cyst, mixed tumor or teratomas can appear when teratomas are composed of mature tissue. It's called mature teratoma, or dermoid cyst, when the tissue producing the teratomas are immature, it is called immature teratoma or teratocarcinoma, indicating its malignant behavior. This table summarizes the type of agents, environmental carcinogens that are incriminated in development of different types of tumors, as for example arsenic and arsenic compound associated with lung, skin, hemangiosarcomas. Asbestos is well known to produce lung tumors, mesothelioma, gastrointestinal tract tumors. Benzene and benzene derivative well known to produce leukemias and lymphomas. Heavy metals associated with lung cancer. Cadmium and cadmium compound with prostate cancer.